Hi guys, so welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today we're going to be learning how to make a long pencil skirt with an overlap slit. It is detailed, beginner friendly and very easy to understand. So if this looks like what you really wish to learn, please watch till the end. So for this tutorial, these are the fabric I'll be using. So here I have my Ankara print and the lining I'll be using for this tutorial. So the first thing we're going to go ahead to do now is to fold my fabric. And when folding your fabric, you're going to be folding using the biggest part of the body, which is the hip. So the hip I'm working with is 44 inch. I'm going to go ahead to divide that 44 inch by 4, and I'll be adding my sewing allowance of 2 inch to it. So I'm going to go ahead to fold my fabric like you see me doing in the video. So once I'm done folding the fabric, the next thing I'm going to go ahead to do now is to take out my measurement. So the measurement I will be taking out at this point is the hip divided by 4 plus my sewing allowance. So once I'm okay with it, I'm going to go ahead to cut the excess fabric I have on this side of the fabric. After cutting the excess fabric, the next thing we're going to go ahead to do now is to start drafting. So first I'll go ahead to draw a straight horizontal line. This line I'm drawing at this point is going to be serving as the waistline. Once I'm done doing this, the next thing I'm going to go ahead to do now is to insert my vertical measurement. So I'm going to go ahead to start taking my measurement from the waistline. So because I'll be attaching a waistband to this skirt, I'll be starting my measurement from 2 inch. So I'll pull my tape rule upward like this, and I'll start taking my measurement from 2 inch point. So the first measurement I'm going to go ahead to insert is the waist to hip depth measurement, which is 10 inch. I'll go ahead to mark it. Then I'll go ahead to insert my waist measurement to 2 inch above the knee, which is 20 inch. I'll go ahead to mark that also. Once I'm done doing this, I'm going to go ahead to insert the full length of the skirt. So the full length of the skirt I'm making is 39 inch. I'll go ahead to mark the 39 inch, but I'll be adding 1 inch for my sewing allowance. Once I'm done doing this, the next thing I'm going to go ahead to do is to draw straight horizontal line at the point I just marked, like you see me doing in the video. So after drawing the line, this is what it is going to look like. So here I have the waistline, the hip depth line, the knee line, and the full length line. The next thing we are going to go ahead to do now is to start inserting the body circumference measurement. So on the waistline, I'm going to go ahead to insert my waist divided by 4. So the waist I'm working with is 39 inch divided by 4 is 9.75. I'll go ahead to mark the 9.75. After which I'll go ahead to add 1 inch for that and 2 inch for my sewing allowance. Once I'm done doing this, I'm going to move over to the hip depth line. On the hip depth line, I'm going to go ahead to insert the hip divided by 4 plus a sewing allowance of 2 inch and mark. Next, I'll move over to the new line. So on the nail line, what I'll go ahead to do is to minus 6 inch from my hip circumference measurement because it is a pencil skirt. But if you want the nail part to be more fitted, you can go ahead to minus 8 inch. So I'm going to go ahead to minus 6 inch from 44. After doing that, I got 38. So I'm going to go ahead to divide that 38 by 4 and I'll mark it on the nail line. After which I'll go ahead to add my sewing allowance. Next, I'll move over to the hemline. For the hemline, I'm going to go ahead to insert whatever I have on my new line on the hemline and mark. Once I'm done doing that, the next I'm going to go ahead to do is to connect the sides together with my ruler like you see me doing in the video. So after connecting the side, the next thing I'm going to go ahead to do now is to cut it out. But before cutting it out, I'm going to go ahead to extend my full length measurement by 2 inch because I want the fabric to overlap on the inner part of the skirt. So I'm going to go ahead to come down by 2 inch like you see me doing in the video. After which I'll go ahead to draw a straight horizontal line. Then I'll go ahead to cut the side of the skirt. So after cutting it out, this is what the front block of the skirt is going to look like. The next thing we're going to go ahead to do now is to cut the back of the skirt. So for the back of the skirt, I'm going ahead to fold my fabric for the back of the skirt. So when folding your fabric for the back of the skirt, all you'll be doing is to fold using your hip divided by 4 plus your sewing allowance. Then you're going to go ahead to add extra 3 to 4 inch for the overlap allowance, because the skirt you are making is an overlap pencil skirt. So I'm going to go ahead to add 3 to 4 inch for the overlap allowance. So this is what I use in folding my fabric for the back. So the first thing I'm going to do on the back is to go in by 3 inch from the center back of the skirt for the overlap. So if you want the overlap to be more than this, you can simply go ahead to make it 4 or 5 inch depending on how you want the overlap to be. But for me, I'm making use of 3 inch, so I'll go ahead to measure 3 inch all the way down, after which I'll connect the points together with a straight line like you see me doing in the video. So once I'm done doing this, the next thing I'm going to go ahead to do now is to place the front block of the skirt on the back block of the skirt like this. So you're going to go ahead to place it like so, making sure that the front block is starting on this overlap line that we just drew. So this is what we are going to be having once you're done doing this. So the next thing we are going to go ahead to do now is to extend the hip depth line and the new line like you see me doing in the video. So once I'm done extending the lines, the next thing I'm going to go ahead to do now is to take out the butt allowance, and in doing that, I'm going to be coming out by 0.5 inch on the hip depth line like this. Once I'm done marking it, I'll go ahead to connect the waistline to this point with my ruler. Then I'll connect the hip depth line to meet with the front block of the skirt like you see me doing in the video. So all you need to do is to place the cup part of a ruler from the waist to that hip depth line. Then you go ahead to connect it back to the front block of the skirt like this. So this is going to help give the skirt fitting at the back. So once you're done doing this, the next thing you're going to go ahead to do is to take out your zipper allowance. So the zipper allowance I'll be working with for this tutorial is 1.5 inch. So I'm going to go ahead to take out my zipper allowance, making sure that I follow this curve I have on the center back of the skirt, and I'll be stopping at the new line. So I'm going to go ahead to mark 1.5 inch all the way down, after which I'll connect the points together like you see me doing in the video. So once I'm done taking out the zipper allowance, this is what it is going to look like. Basically, this is what the back block of the skirt is going to look like. The next thing I'm going to go ahead to do now is to cut it out. So just watch the way I'm cutting it out so that you don't cut out the wrong part when cutting yours. So there will be no need of adding any other measurements, because we've already gone ahead to take all the required measurements on the front block of the skirt. So all you need to do is to cut following the pattern you already have on the front block of the skirt like you see me doing in the video. So after cutting, this is what the skirt is going to look like. So the next I'm going to go ahead to do now is to cut out the lining I'll be attaching to the skirt. So when cutting out your lining, remember we extended the length of the skirt by 2 inch. So when cutting out your lining, you're going to go ahead to fold in the 2 inch like this. Then your lining is going to be starting from where the folding stops. So your lining is going to start from this point all the way to the top like so. So that is how your lining is going to be when cutting your lining. So I'm going to go ahead to cut out my lining, then I'll come back to show you what to do next. So before cutting out the lining for the front block of the skirt, the first thing I'm going to go ahead to do is to draw the underbelly curve for the front block of the skirt. And in doing that, I'm going to be coming down from the center block of the skirt by 0.5 inch like this, after which I'll go ahead to connect this point to the side of the skirt using the curved part of my ruler. So this is going to help the skirt to sit properly on the stomach without pulling down or folding over when the skirt is being worn. So this is what the underbelly curve for the skirt is going to look like. The next thing I'm going to go ahead to do now is to cut the waistband for the skirt we are going to be making. So remember, I took out 2 inch from the full length of the skirt I was making. So all you need to do is to add 0.5 inch to that 2 inch. So when cutting your waistband, you're going to be cutting the waistband on fold. So I'm going to go ahead to fold my fabric like this. Then I'll go ahead to take out 2.5 inch all the way down, after which I'll connect the point with a straight line like you see me doing in the video. So the length of the waistband is going to be your waist circumference measurement plus at least 3 to 4 inch for allowance. So after cutting, this is what the waistband of the skirt is going to look like. So I'm going ahead to cut out my lining for the front and the back of the skirt. So here I have the back block of the skirt and the front block of the skirt. So remember, while drafting, we extended the full length by 2 inches. So when cutting your lining, all you need to do is to fold the 2 inch over like this. Then your lining will start at this point. So after sewing, this is what the hem of the skirt is going to look like. So the next thing we're going to go ahead to do now is to join the lining to the main fabric. And in doing that, you're going to go ahead to open up your skirt fabric like you see me doing in the video, making sure that the good face of the fabric is facing the good face of your lining. So once you have it in place like this, the next thing you're going to go ahead to do is to close up the hem. After closing up the hem, you're going to go ahead to pull it up to meet up with the waistline. Then you go ahead to close up the sides of the skirt. So I've gone ahead to attach the lining to the skirt, and this is what it is going to look like. So here I have the front block of the skirt, and this is what the hem of the skirt is going to look like once you're done stitching the lining to the skirt. So here we have the back block of the skirt. I also went ahead to do the same thing for the back block of the skirt, and this is what the hem of the back of the skirt also look like. So the next thing we're going to go ahead to do now is to work on the back block of the skirt. So first you're going to go ahead to place the back block like this, making sure that the good face are facing each other like you see me doing in the video. So once you have this in place, the next thing you're going to go ahead to do now is to close the center back of the skirt. So before closing the center back of the skirt, make sure you place the front block on the back like this to check if the hem of the skirt align. If it is not aligning, you need to go back and work on that before you come back to close the center back of the skirt. So now we're going to go ahead to closing up the center back of the skirt, and in doing that, first you're going to go ahead to mark where the zipper is going to be stopping. So remember, we took out 2 inches from the full length of the skirt, so you're going to go ahead to place your tape rule like this, starting from the 2 inch mark. Then you go ahead to measure 10 inches downward like this and mark. So this is the point where the zipper is going to be stopping. So after marking that point, the next thing you're going to go ahead to do now is to mark out the remaining zipper allowance. So when drafting, I took out 1.5 inch as my zipper allowance, and I've gone ahead to use 0.25 to turn the lining. So what I'm left with is 1.25. So I'm going to go ahead to mark the 1.25 all the way down to the new line like you see me doing in the video. So once I get to the new line, I'm going to go ahead to stitch my allowance parts using 0.5 inch like you see me marking in the video. So the next thing I'm going to go ahead to do now is to go over my sewing machine and close up this part you see me marking on my fabric. So once I'm done closing up the center of the skirt, this is what it is going to look like. The next thing I'm going to go ahead to do now is to notch this part of the skirt like you see me doing in the video. After notching it, I'm going to go ahead to open it up for you to see what it looks like. So once you open up the skirt, it is going to overlap automatically. So this is what the overlap of the skirt is going to look like. So once you have it open, it is going to overlap automatically like you see here. And this is what the overlap is going to look like. The next thing I'm going to go ahead to do now is to turn the skirt over to the wrong face like this. Then I will show you what to do next. So for the overlap, all you need to do is to make this part of the skirt to relax on this side, and this is what the overlap is going to look like. The next thing I'm going to go ahead to do now is to keep the lower part of the overlap in place with my hemming gum. So I'm going to go ahead to place my hemming gum inside like this, then I'll go ahead to keep it in place with my pressing iron. So if you don't have a hemming gum, you can simply go ahead to run a stitch on the side all the way down with your sewing machine. So after I was done keeping the overlap in place with my hemming gum, this is what the skirt is going to look like. So this is what you should have once you're done doing that, and we are done with the overlap part of the skirt. So when turned over to the good face, this is what the overlap is going to look like. So the next thing I'm going to go ahead to do now is to run a stitch on this part of the overlap to keep it in place. So once I'm done doing that, the next thing I'm going to go ahead to do now is to join the front and the back block of the skirt together. So I'll just go ahead to place the front block on the skirt like this. Once I'm done doing this, I'll go over to my sewing machine and I'll close up the sides of the skirt. So after closing up the side of the skirt, this is what we are going to be having. I also went ahead to give it a good press, and this is what the skirt is going to look like once you are done joining the front and the back block of the skirt together. So the next thing I'm going to go ahead to do now is to attach the waistband to the waist area of the skirt, and also I'll go ahead to attach my zipper to the skirt. So if you don't know how to attach a waistband to the skirt, you can simply go ahead to check my previous tutorial on how to make a pencil skirt. skirt. I give a detailed explanation on how to attach the waistband to the skirt in that tutorial. So I'll just go ahead to quickly attach the waistband to the skirt, then I'll come back to show you what it looks like. So after I was done attaching the waistband to the skirt, this is what it is going to look like. So guys, I forgot to sew in the waist dart, so I had to just go ahead to add an elastic to the waistband because I didn't want to remove the waistband after fixing it. And guys, it really came out nice. So this is what the skirt is going to look like once you're done joining the waistband to the skirt. So if this video was helpful to you, please don't forget to subscribe if you are yet to, and also don't forget to like, share and drop a comment. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in my next tutorial.